As I was scrolling through my Instagram feed a couple of months ago, I began to see a lot more of these posts, which were advocating for some cause or another. They seem to pop up like well-meaning weeds all over social media. Most of them seem to view themselves as haloed saviors marching bravely into the battlefields of Instagram and boldly posting a groundbreaking idea or message, like racism is bad or girl power. Now, these types of posts are by no means a new phenomena. They've mostly existed since social media first began. But the sheer quantity of activist posting seems to have blown up in light of the environment of coronavirus and police brutality that has pervaded our social fabric. But do they actually do anything? Are they enacting massive socio-political change through hashtag Black Lives Matter selfies? I would argue, no, they're not. And a lot of social media activism harms more than it helps. Now, I am by no means condemning social media as a valid form of activism. During the Arab Spring, social media played an influential role in the organization and spread of a massive revolution. In Saudi Arabia, women were able to drive with the assistance of social media to give them a voice. However, the current wave of social media activism doesn't seem to be quite the same. While the activists in the Arab Spring and in Saudi Arabia turned to social media because it was their only choice, current activists seem to turn to social media because it is the easiest choice. In fact, many have penned the low-effort activism, Slacktivism. The UN defines the term slacktivist as people who support a cause by performing simple measures and are not truly engaged or devoted to making a change. You might disagree with me on the point that these avid young activists are actually slacktivists. You might want to argue, but they're spreading awareness, or they sign petitions and donate. They're promoting real change. However, there's a problem with the awareness that slacktivists are spreading. For one, it's disingenuous. They spread awareness online, but they rarely sacrifice anything in their real lives to help the cause. I'll give you an example. Kylie Jenner. We all know her, right? So she posted something on her Instagram about how the animal death toll in Australia broke her heart. But then the very next post was about her baby pink mink slippers. Sure, she spread awareness about the animal death in Australia, but that awareness clearly hasn't seeped into her daily life. I'll be fair to her though, she did end up donating money to the cause, but only after people called her out for her actions on social media. And this is a prime example of how awareness on social media seems to remain solely on social media, and it doesn't ever seem to infiltrate into the real world, which thereby renders it quite meaningless. There's no point in spreading awareness if no one takes action. There's also no one on social media platforms like the infamous Instagram to fact-check posts. Additionally, social media's algorithm forms a sort of echo chamber. You're more likely to like posts that you agree with as a result of confirmation bias, or the tendency to accept information that only supports your personal beliefs. And that places similar posts on your feed. For example, I don't like meat. And if someone were to post a picture of a juicy steak on Instagram and say something like, everyone should eat steak, I wouldn't like that photo. And as a result of the algorithm, steak-related content would not appear on my feed. But people who do like eating steak might like that photo. And then their Insta feeds, or Twitter feeds, or Facebook feeds would have more steak content. Ergo, your posts are more likely to appear on the feeds of those who agree with you or already know about your cause. So really, you're not spreading awareness. You're just advocating for your own social clout. And therein lies the true issue of slacktivism. People are not really posting these messages to make a change, but to gain social points and be seen as the kind of person who cares. This practice is called virtue signaling. Cambridge Dictionary defines virtue signaling as an attempt to show other people that you are a good person. For example, by expressing opinions that will be acceptable to them, especially on social media. If these posts seemed more genuine, I probably would have been less peeved by them. But the majority of the posters for me were upper middle class individuals who seemed to be saying that their voice was the most important voice, and that they were some type of savior to people struggling everywhere. Their activism was inherently superficial, and unlike the activists of the civil rights movement or other massive sociopolitical movements, they rarely sacrificed anything. They went to protests to take Instagram pics and hang out with their friends, it seemed, not to actually promote change. Unlike other types of activism, these posts exist solely to make the poster feel better about themselves. Slacktivists also diminish real issues like the famine in Yemen or police brutality by acting as though they can simply be solved through the click of a few buttons in a social media post. Additionally, this fact-free environment promotes scams. For example, the Instagram account at Pray for the Amazonia lied that it partnered with a rainforest preservation organization to save the Amazon rainforest, and got well-meaning people to donate money to a fake organization and essentially get scammed. Other accounts have claimed without any evidence to donate money for every like or repost, like the fraudulent viral Sudan Meal Project scam that took over Instagram a couple of years ago. The unfortunate truth is, most issues cannot be just solved by liking a post, and that is why they are issues with the capital I. Take this advertisement for UNICEF Sweden from the 2013 ad campaign, Likes Don't Save Lives, for example, which perfectly explains both the allure and impossibility of social media chain post scams. Of course, it would be amazing if likes did save lives, but they don't. People often also post pictures with unrelated activist hashtags to get viewership, which dilutes the message and in no way spreads activism. Blackout Tuesday was an infamous example of this, where most people on Instagram posted a black square with the hashtag BLM in solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement. However, this drowned out real information about organizing protests and donations, and illustrates how a lot of slacktivists on social media are just trying to be trendy and uphold the status quo, when most real activism subverts or outright takes on the status quo. People also think that signing petitions on websites like change.org are instilling real change, but they can also be scams, and most petitions have no legal binding and have very little effect on politicians. So what can you do? For one, if you're an Instagram activist, practice what you preach. Your activism becomes more genuine if you take actual real life steps. If you post something on climate change, try to consume less and reduce your carbon footprint. If you post something on police brutality to continue it into your life, email or mail your politicians constantly about the issues that affect you, and vote for new ones who fight for what you believe in. And most importantly, make your own opinions based on what you read outside of social media from evidence-based sources. You're an individual, so even if something is trendy, research it heavily before reposting a pretty post or story. Instagram isn't fact, and what you have to say matters more than the trends that everyone has to say. Thank you.